What is up, people? What is up, people? This is Abraham Walker with Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent, and we're back at you with another live stream from our series 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. And today we're getting into question number 16 and 17. Question number 16 and 17. 16 is all about what is a discount broker. Question number 17 is how much should your real estate agent know about your transaction, about what your purchase price is, what your top budget line item is. I have some different opinions than the author, so this should be a little interesting. If you don't know yet, we're a real estate company servicing in the Northern Virginia area. If you're ready to start your home buying journey, there is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire. Fill out that form and we will schedule time to meet online via Zoom to answer any and all of your questions. You'll be smiling like that lovely couple there who purchased in Alexandria. And the way this all works, I have some prepared content for you all where I'm going to go through some notes, some thoughts about this book right here, 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. I'm going to try to make this information as local as possible, give you an agent's perspective who's been in business for the last 14 years, try to make this a little bit more relative to your personal situation, what you can and can't do in this particular market. After I finish with my prepared piece, then you will ask your questions in the comment section, and then I'll answer those as long as you stay online. As long as you have questions, I'll be here to answer them. So let's get into it. Discount brokers. What is a discount broker and should you use one? First off, for some reason, discount brokers never really took off. The concept is simple. The concept is one where there is this individual you would go to, and then they would piecemeal the different parts or different aspects of the real estate process, right? So showing a house will be piecemealed or broken out or itemized, right? So it's an itemized way of doing business. Buyers just never really liked it. Buyers never really liked it. And we'll talk about one of the reasons why I believe it never took up or caught on. But let's just talk about the facts. You really can't find a discount broker or someone who classifies themselves as a discount broker. What you will be able to find is just a traditional broker who offers buying and selling services or buying and selling representation. And then that person will offer you a discount, right? So it's a broker who is just really a traditional broker, and you negotiate a certain discount for their services, but they don't stop or they don't not offer you the full package. They really just give you the full package at a discounted rate. That is really the more common aspect of a quote unquote discount broker. But what it was supposed to be is somebody who gave you access to the MLS, scheduled a limited number of showings for you. They had minimal contract review. They had minimum negotiation with the other agent. Everything else is kind of on your own. You do all of the legwork. That is what the concept was supposed to be. But buyers, to be quite frank with you, they just weren't feeling that concept, because it's not until you get into the transaction that you know, oh my God, this is what I'm going to need out of this agent. Oh my goodness, we're in a sticky situation. But every contract, every negotiation, every transaction isn't like that. So you really don't want to know that you need a traditional or a full service broker until you get one. And then it may be too late, right? So this story adds, one of the stories in this book is about a buyer who was a first-time home buyer who needed all of their money, right? They needed as much money to close on a property, and they went with a discount broker. Well, this discount broker started to itemize all their bills, itemize all the showings, charge them for every fee, but they were kind of slow to respond. They work 9 to 5, right? Monday through Friday. So they have banker's hours, and most of real estate happens on the weekend. Believe it or not, most of our properties come on the market on Wednesday or Thursday. Then they're shown on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If it's a hot property or just a fast moving market like we usually have in the springtime, those properties go under contract on Monday or Tuesday. So if you have an agent who says, you know what, I'm only available Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, because I'm paying you, you're paying less for this service, you may miss out on most real estate transactions. And that's what happened to this particular buyer in this story. They missed out on a couple transactions, and then they wind up firing their discount broker, and they went under contract shortly afterwards with a quote unquote full service broker. Now, there are some times when people come up to us and they're like, Abraham, I would like you to negotiate your fee. And we're like, sure, let's negotiate. And there's a problem, though. There's a problem I want to talk to you about, something that we don't really discuss. I've never really seen discussed online. But before we do, the way the real estate commission works is, yes, there is a percentage of the commission that goes to the buyer agent and the seller agent, right? But then that commission is also split between the agent and their broker. Now, depending on their sales volume, depending on the company they're with, we don't really know what that percentage is. We don't really need to know. All you need to know is that the percentage that you see your agent receiving isn't necessarily the percentage that's going into their pocket. I know some people will say, well, Abraham, that's none of my business anyway. That's your cost of doing business. Why am I, as the consumer, worried about how you spend the money you make on the transaction? Well, you kind of should be worried because you're asking for a discount. You're asking for some percentage of this fee. Some brokers don't allow the agent to share the percentage that you would receive between the broker and the agent, right? They don't split that. So that means that's only coming from the agent side. And agents don't do like a lot of transactions, especially in high cost of living markets, because it's not really needed, right? A lot of people don't have Lamborghini dreams and Lamborghini goals or 5,000 square foot homes. You know, a lot of people live in townhouses, condos. So these agents are just trying to make a moderate living. It's not a lot of agents that do a lot of transactions. You'd be surprised. You'd be so surprised the number of transactions the average agent does in Northern Virginia, or really just in general in the US. So that means that an agent, and the reason why I'm giving you this information is you got to know why an agent is maybe giving you some pushback as far as like why they won't discount or negotiate their commission. A lot of agents aren't doing that many transactions, so there's really not that much commission to go around. That's something for you to know. Next up is, what happens if you negotiate too good of a deal from your agent, right? So you're in a negotiation situation where your agent is saying, you know what, I really want this deal. I want to service you. I want to make this commission. I'll negotiate some terms with you, right? And you get a really good deal. I can't say what a good deal is. That's between you and your agent, but let's just say it makes a lot more sense for you than for them. Because what you really want to go for, you're trying to go for a win-win situation, right? So you want your agent to win and you want to win yourself, right? So if negotiating is a part of your culture, if it's something that you just like to do, then by all means, try it out. But if you do negotiate too good of a deal, right, the agent may slow the service. They may offer you less communication. They may become resentful, and they may withhold information. Now, here's the problem. You won't know that they're doing this, right? Because the average consumer only buys houses, as we've discussed on this series, every 7 to 11 years. So how would you be able to compare your previous agent 7 to 10 years ago to your current agent today? You won't be able to. So you want to make sure that your agent is comfortable with the negotiation. If you're a superior negotiator, right, as far as the commission is concerned, you want to make sure your agent is comfortable. Now, I know some people will say, especially my colleagues will say, well, Abraham, if this person was able to out negotiate the real estate agent, are they really the right person to be negotiating on behalf of this individual? There's 5 million transactions that happen a year. Are all of those transactions happening from superior negotiators? No. There's only a small group of agents that are quote unquote elite, right? Top of the game. Those agents are usually quite busy. Those agents also come at a premium. They are going to be the ones that you're going to be able to negotiate with the least. So if you're getting yourself an agent and you're negotiating the commission, just know try to negotiate a win-win deal for both of you, right? All right, so let's talk about the next topic, right? So that's the discount broker part. It's not really much to talk about because we really don't have many discount brokers in our market because buyers object to the idea that someone would withhold a certain percentage of service from them. And so we don't. And so it's not available. And so you could try to find somebody, right? There are some companies who offer some version of a discount broker. And one of the reasons why I've seen people object to those types of services is tied to if you're using a traditional real estate agent. A traditional real estate agent is just a one-to-one relationship or a 1 to 2 person relationship, right? Where if it's a big team, if it's a large team, let's draw something for you. Let's get on the iPad here. So there's really two scenarios you're going to deal with, right? So you're going to be dealing with a single agent. So it's just going to be a buyer's agent. And then you're going to have like more of a team approach, which is going to be that same buyer's agent. And then there may be an assistant. And then there may be a showing assistant, right? Excuse me. So that's the structure that you're kind of dealing with in most buyer agent scenarios. You're either dealing with one-on-one or you're dealing with one-to-many, right? Where it's you being serviced by a group of people. Well, in a discount broker scenario, you're usually looking at this multiple person organization because they have economies of scale. So what will happen is you'll probably come into the company through the lead buyer's agent, and then you'll work your way to the person that makes the least amount of money in the organization, which is going to be the showing assistant. And that showing assistant would show you around. Now, in a discount broker situation, there's probably multiple showing assistants who are just showing properties to every buyer that's in that organization. I don't want to name the very large company that offers this same model because I don't want to speak negatively about any particular company. But I do know some buyers do not like being shuffled around between multiple assistants, multiple people who are not as knowledgeable about the market, maybe have just started in the business. They're just not comfortable with those individuals. They kind of want to be with the person that sold them on using the company, right? So they kind of want to be with that one person. Okay. All right. So let's talk about the next topic. The next topic is how much you should share with your broker about your budget. I will say that this is really a conversation about how much should your broker know about you, right? So in this book, my opinion is a little different from the book's perspective. This book says that it says right here, never disclose to your agent the maximum amount you can afford to pay for a home. I disagree with this. I disagree with this because you're hiring somebody who is likely to be the most expensive person you've ever paid for in your life. Even if you've gotten married and you went to a wedding planner, real estate agents on average usually make per transaction more than wedding planners. So you've probably never paid as much money for this individual in your life. And now you're going to get into this relationship for the most expensive transaction you'll probably ever do in your life. And now you're going to withhold information from this individual. My question is why? Why would you withhold information from an individual you've already gone through the interview process with? You've already provided them with some type of scrutiny as far as like what services they provide, how do they perform their services. You've already hopefully consumed some of their content like you are with our channel. You know a lot about this individual. It's time for you to disclose information about yourself. And why is that? In my opinion, the agent that you're using needs to know as much about your situation as possible to actually provide you with guidance towards your end goal. Now, what is your end goal? Some people will say that the end goal is just to purchase a home. That's what some people will say. Some people will say that I just want my agent to shut up, show me some houses, fill out the contracts, secure my home. That's one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it is, so take, for instance, Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is a high cost of living market, and most people, there's a large percentage of people who come to the Northern Virginia area just to pursue their professional careers. If they're pursuing their professional careers, they have this idea that they're going to move out of the Northern Virginia area once they retire. So that means that you have your high income earning years, right? Your very productive years to make the most amount of money possible, and then to leverage that money to provide yourself with a very comfortable retirement years, right? Your agent can be someone who assists with this process. Providing your agent with how much can you afford? Would you want to maximize that on this particular purchase? How many properties can you purchase over your lifetime? Should you be looking at a starter property, then move up? Should you look at this first property as a potential investment property? So then that changes our criteria. If you give your agent this information on the front end, then your agent can do a better job for you in the long term, right? Finding an agent that can grow with you as you grow your real estate portfolio is important, in my opinion. Now, I'm 40. I plan on being in business until I'm 80. So I look at my clients who come with me as someone who's going to do a transaction every 7 to 10 years. So that means if I have a client who's 40 and they leave the area by the time they're 65, they have like 2 or 3 transactions. I plan on being in a relationship with those individuals at that long. So we shouldn't start off the relationship withholding information, because the goal is to maximize your opportunity with real estate. Real estate is a great vehicle for building wealth. Your agent that you choose can help you with that process. But if you're holding information close to your chest, right? If you believe you can't trust this individual, then I would suggest that you find an agent you can trust. Find an agent that you feel has your best interest at heart. You're not going to be able to do that without interviewing somebody, right? You need to have some questions about this person's performance, some questions about this person's integrity. How do they view you? Do they view you as just one commission check and then it's one and done? I want to know everything. So that's why I kind of disagree with this book. But I'll also say that I don't just view myself as a real estate agent. I view myself as someone who's going to be with you for several decades as we make the most out of your living in Northern Virginia. Okay. There's one more thing I want to cover here. Is this book also mentioned exclusive buyer brokers, that if you use an exclusive buyer broker, then that particular person could have your best interest at heart because they don't work with sellers. But again, that's a fallacy, because agents know one another. They communicate with one another. So this book is saying that someone with loose lips could reveal to the other party your buying capacity, your buying potential, and then you would spend more money on a particular property. I got to say that that's just false, right? The agents we don't make much more money on $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to really be revealing our clients' buying potential or their top goal, right? Their top budget, right? If anything, your agent may actually reveal to the other agent what your position is, to negotiate and to keep the negotiation alive. There are oftentimes, especially in multiple offer situations, where agents are trying to figure out if the other person, if it even makes sense to counter the offer with another party, because they just don't know, right? This especially happens with VA buyers and FHA buyers. VA buyers and FHA buyers, for some reason with agents, are seen as people who do not have that much money, right? And so it becomes challenging, especially in fast moving markets, seller markets where there's a lot of competition, for those types of clients to be competitive, because listing agents are trying to make the most amount of money for their clients. They would love to do that with anyone, but those financing options have this stigma attached to them, right? You could pretend like they don't have it, right? You could pretend like everyone is equal. Everybody's money spends the same. That's just not true. That's just not how it works. That's not how it works. And you should play the game to win, not how you believe the game is supposed to go. Okay, so that's it. So we talked about discount brokers, whether or not they are relevant. They're not really that relevant. We talked about that. And then we also talked about how much should your agent know about your budget. You know what? One more thing about the budget thing. I wholeheartely agree with one of the things this book says, which is that your agent should have you should have a budget for yourself before you talk to the agent. I agree with that. I agree with that because not only will the agent and the lender try to get you to spend they don't care. I will say both the agent and the lender don't really care about your finances. They don't care about if you're eating beans, rice and beans because you've paid too much money for a property. They don't care if you're not able to go on vacations, if vacations are important to you, if you're able to save money for your 401k or for your retirement. They're not worried about that. If you tell them the max, but you don't tell them some type of criteria, they're just going to try to spend the max amount of dollars. I agree with that aspect of the book. I will say one of the things that we do that's a little bit different in our buyer consultation, almost as soon as we start our consultation with our clients, we try to find out what your monthly budget is. What is your monthly budget? Not, and this is important. This is an important distinction. We do not want to know what your price range is. Your price range is irrelevant. Your monthly budget is what we work with. That's how you experience the home. That's how you experience the number that you pay on for a property. And if we can get you, this is my belief, if I can get you at the very beginning of the transaction, at the very beginning of the conversation, to start thinking about your monthly budget, then when you go and talk to the lender will say you're approved for $500,000, $500,000, $700,000, $1 million, and you will say, thank you for that number, but what is my monthly payment? You have to find out what your monthly payment is. Knowing that you can buy an $800,000 property, but not knowing that may cost you $5,000 a month, in my opinion, is short-sighted. You're going to experience your property through your monthly payment. Find out, have a goal. How much do I want to spend per month? Once you have that monthly payment amount, then go to your lender and say, I'm shopping for this monthly payment amount. And I will also add, you want to make sure you're clear on whether or not your monthly payment amount includes your taxes, your insurance, and your HOA fees, right? Those are three things that some people, when you're looking at some of those mortgage calculators online, they don't include all of those fees. You got to include that because that's going to be coming out of your money, your cash flow. And we would like our clients to have positive cash flow, or at least a positive experience with real estate and no surprises. So that's it. That was 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. So today we covered question number 16 and 17. 16 was discount brokers. What are they? What do they offer? Question 17 was how much should your agent know about your process? I completely forgot. We don't have no music on. Why didn't anybody tell me we don't have any music on? There we go. All right, so now is the fun part of the process. Let me know your location, and also let me know what questions that you may have. Questions about buying a home, selling a home, investing in real estate. Maybe you want to know about what locations are ideal for your scenario. Let me know. Also, since we're at the end of the question or the presentation part, there is a perfect home questionnaire for anybody who's ready to start the home buying, home selling, or investing journey in the Northern Virginia area. You'll be laughing just like this couple as they purchase their first home. Would love to talk to you. We'll schedule a time to meet via Zoom and answer any and all of your questions. All right. So we're live every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a little prepared content from this wonderful book here. We're actually going to be starting some new segments in a couple weeks. I really like the live stream setup. I like getting out information as quickly as possible. It helps me to deliver this content a little bit quicker to you all. And then I also like this this Q&A section, this process that we're going through right now, where you just post your questions and then I answer them in real time. So we've been going live for 2 weeks now. 2 weeks, a little bit over 2 weeks. Every day, getting everybody ready for the spring season. I think this spring season is going to be hot, hot, hot. Let me know where you're watching us from. What's your location? Are you local? Are you out of town? What's your 411? What's your question? It could be real estate related. It could be something you did this weekend. Let us know. We go live every night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We help home buyers, home sellers, investors, also people who are just looking to have a good time in the Northern Virginia area. All right, this is the last call for questions. Last call for questions. I'm about to get off. Go have myself a nice little salad the missus made. Some Peruvian chicken. She made some homemade Peruvian chicken. Post your questions down below. Any questions you have about the real estate process or about Northern Virginia. Tomorrow we'll be on talking about question number 18. What is question number 18? How do I know if my broker is doing a good job? That should be an interesting one. And we'll probably do question number 19. How can I help in the search for a home if I use a broker? All right. So since we don't have any questions right now, last call for questions. If we don't have any questions at the end of this song, then we will say good night. I hope that you all had a good weekend. I hope you have a good start to your week. I hope that no one watching is affected by all of these layoffs that are going on right now. Looks like our region hasn't had any so far, any noteworthy layoffs. So that's good. That's good for our region. But yeah, I know a couple of my friends in the tech space that are quite nervous. Let me know your questions. Post your questions down below. Any real estate questions you have, I'm ready for it. You thinking about buying a home? You think about selling a home? Investing in real estate? Maybe you're moving to the region. You want to know some advice about what location is ideal for your budget, your lifestyle. We do it all. And if I don't know the answer, I can find it for you. You know, since I have you here, did y'all see that story recently about hold on. There was a story. Oh, here we go. I was reading yesterday about how a couple of Fairfax County employee pension funds were exposed to the cryptocurrency collapse. That's not going to be good for retirement. I gotta say, that's kind of sad. This is another reason why real estate is so important in a lot of people's retirement portfolios, because you don't have to be as concerned about where's your money going. But this article was in fairfaxtimes.com, another local publication. Recommend you check it out. The county right here says the county employees pension, ERS, had over 10% of his assets invested in crypto at its peak, and an even greater amount committed yet to be invested. That's not going to fare well at all. Post your questions down below. We're Northern Virginia real estate agents. Ask A Walker. My name is Abraham Walker, and we're here to answer any questions you may have about the real estate process. If you're buying a home, selling a home, investing in real estate, we got you covered. All right, we got a quiet bunch out here today. Anybody ready for the weekend? I mean, the beginning of the week. Anybody did anything exciting this weekend? Speaking of another article I was reading, there is Staunton. It's a nice little town, and I think it's like in central Virginia, but they have like this little scenic railway I was reading about. We actually went to Staunton for a wedding. Some friends of ours from New Orleans, believe it or not, got married in Staunton, which is wild, right? Like Staunton, like where? I didn't know it was a place that people knew about. But anyway, we went to a little bed and breakfast there. Well, now you can actually get there through the Virginia Scenic Railway. I've never been on a train. I'm not sure. It doesn't really look like something that's exciting. It looks like it's kind of slow moving. And also what I've read online, trains are, they're interesting products. Have you been on a train before? We're actually thinking about taking a train to New York City when we go and do our New York City trip. I think the train ride is like 3.5 hours. That's an idea. I don't know though. I know I don't want to bring my car to New York City, and also catching a plane to New York City is, it's only a 3.5 hour drive. I think our boys are 12 and 14 right now. I think that they would like the train ride to New York City. But I don't know, the train just sounds like an event. I mean, it sounds like an experience. But when you're on the metro, the metro doesn't excite you. Have you been on a train ride? Has anybody been on that train ride from Lorton to Disney World? What is that train ride called? What do they call that? Lorton train to Disney. Auto train, that's what it's called, the auto train. I've heard a lot of our friends have used the auto train before. That's where they actually put your car on the train. You get a cabin, or you get, depending on what you pay for, you get some type of quarters. I think it takes like a day. It's a day-long train ride, but then you get to bring your car with you, and you don't have to rent a car when you get to Disney. All right. I'm just talking to myself right now. Well, we will be back tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to answer any questions that you may have, and also to cover question number 18 in our 100 questions every first-time home buyer should ask. I'm your host, Abraham Walker, Ask A Walker, your Northern Virginia real estate agent. There is a link in the description to the Perfect Home Questionnaire if you're ready to start your home buying journey. Fill out that form, and we'll schedule a time to meet online via Zoom. Until tomorrow, I hope you have a great day. I will see you soon.